Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're talking Meghan and her spending. That's right. Now, we've done episodes where we break down specific outfits and we look how much each one of those disasters cost. So definitely go back and take a look at those videos if you're interested in specific outfits. But in this episode, I want to talk about her time with the royal family, although very brief, and how much was spent. And I want to compare it to other working royals. I want to talk about royal duties, that sort of thing. So I thought we could get into that and take a look because it is eye-opening to see. And also I want to talk about where does the money come from? Who funds it? So we'll talk about all of that and so much more. So let's get into this. So just a refresher, they started dating in 2016. They think around July 2016 is when they met. In November 2017, they announced their engagement, and it was May of 2018 that they actually married. And then it was November 2019 when Kermit and her stupid prince jetted off to Canada, and it was 2020 when it became official that they were no longer pretending to do things because we want privacy. So it's estimated between May 2018 and November 2019 that Meghan partook in 72 days of royal duties. And to put a finer point on things, I believe it was Tom Bower goes into his book, Revenge, that some of those royal duties included going to see Bozo at a polo match. So hardly the toughest of jobs. Side note, I do want to point out some of my sources here. This came from the Telegraph, and when I was researching this, you guys, the Telegraph must hate her too, because look at this. They published this photo. I'm not even kidding. I did not edit this photo. This was the photo they put along with the 72 days of royal duties. They put the armpit sweat photo, guys. Okay, so just go with me on this trip. 72 days of royal duties. That's what Poop Emoji Hat did. This is between, again, May 2018 through November 2019. 72 days. Tough, huh? You guys, can we just break down the spending? I'm going to show you the most eye-opening thing. Are you ready for this? So this is a breakdown of just 2018. So again, she joined it in May, halfway through the year 2018. And in 2018, just look at this. This is the difference of all of Europe, all the royal women across Europe, and how much she spent. Again, for half a year. And that 72 days is spread out between 2018 and 2019. So I don't know, break that in half. I don't know how many were in 2018, how many 2019 of those 72 days. But break that in half. Let's say it's 30 some odd days that she spent. She spent more than all royal women across Europe on fashion. Again, 2018. I just can't say that enough. It just blows my mind. Look how much she's estimated to have spent in 2018. And again, I keep saying 2018 because part of her time was spent in 2019. This is just 2018. Look how much was spent. So again, she worked half a year this year, 2018, and look how she outspent everybody else who was fully working that year. Isn't that just unbelievable? So I want to show you something else. 2018, same year, right? Catherine had Prince Louis, and had taken time back to spend with her children. She still did 87 engagements that year. So they're estimating that she spent 71,000 pounds on clothes that year. But again, all those royal engagements for her. And then look at the difference with Meghan. Meghan's was estimated 2018, 427,000 pounds. Again, compared to that of all royal women across Europe, it's mind-blowing to see it like this. But you guys, according to her, she wasn't given everything, and I can't even get through that without laughing. Like, she says she was a victim and she wasn't given everything that everybody else was given. Meh. So let's talk about Catherine for a minute. I found this on the Daily Mail. They estimate that in all of 2016, she spent 100,000 pounds on clothes. And on all of 2017, she spent 119,000 pounds on clothes. Again, I'd like to draw your attention that for half the year in 2018 that Meghan was part of the royal family, it's estimated that she spent 427,000 pounds on clothes. And listen, I get it. You have to spend when you're a royal. You have to do a million events. You have to be in front of people. So I don't begrudge anybody of new clothes. You have to do that sort of thing. But it just shows you with Catherine, you can spend, I guess, I mean, it's not reasonable for any of us, but a reasonable amount and rewear pieces and make them make sense and not have to spend, 5 times what the next closest royal spent? Like, if you add up all the women across Europe, they didn't spend as much as Meghan spent. And again, half a year. Let's start 2019, shall we? Now, unfortunately, I don't have a graph to show you the difference there because the Sun didn't make one, and that makes me mad. But I can show you this article that I found. They basically said, okay, so just a reminder, looking back at dates, 2019, she worked, they went to Canada in November of 2019. So I found this article, and they estimate that Catherine spent in 2019 about 48,000 pounds, which they estimate to be about 4,000 a month. It's estimated in 2019 that she did about 127 engagements. But guess what? Meghan Markle still outspent her. While they didn't give the total amount spent in 2019, it's estimated that she was spending roughly 5,666 pounds a month on her wardrobe. And I'm laughing because they go into detail saying that she was on maternity leave for much of the year, as well as taking a 6-week break in Canada before officially quitting royal duties. So if we break that number down, that's almost 70,000 pounds for just a few engagements that year versus Catherine, who was a full-time working royal that year, who spent 48,000 pounds. So just let that marinate. The other eye-opening thing, they estimate that she spent a jaw-dropping 90,000 pounds on her clothes during her pregnancy. So just let that sink in when you're thinking about all the ridiculous fashion choices. Don't worry, they were still super expensive. So I didn't know how this worked, so I started doing some research about, well, who pays for that and how does that work? It does come from the Duchy of Cornwall account supplied by Charles. Basically, it sounds like that each family gets X amount of money that goes toward living expenses and things like, the wardrobe. Just imagine if you're Catherine and you've been at this a long time and you're working hard and you're raising your family, and Meghan comes in and outspends you by 400,000 pounds and is bitching the entire time, does, 72 days of royal duties, and then says that she's discriminated against. It's too hard. She's got to go. Talk about a slap in the face. Just another one from Hank and Skank, Harold and Fraud. Still at it. Wow. The other thing that came back to my mind when I was working on putting this video together is the events, the royals, right? And of course, Princess Anne she's always been known as one of the hardest working royals. She consistently is at the top of the list for the most engagements, most days work, that sort of thing. Okay. Do you remember that prick Harry in his book Spare, if you didn't read it, I can just fill you in. He whines about this and says that list is unfair. To me, it was a jab at Princess Anne because, again, she is consistently at the top of the list for most engagements. And he says that the list wasn't fair because it doesn't, accurately count things. I don't know where he was going with this, but all I can figure is, it's Meghan writing it and trying to justify why she did 12 things the entire time she was with the royal family, and 7 of them were polo matches, right? So she got to travel to Australia. Ooh, things that most of us would kill for, right? Free trips, new clothes, all that stuff. But yeah, that comes back to my head a lot, that he wrote a whole whiny section about it's not right. And that people would he implies that people would take on engagements just to pad their numbers and stuff. It just is funny because it seems to me the petty ones of the family, again, are Harry and Meghan. They're the ones that keep score on everything, apparently. I mean, just look at his book. It's just a list of grievances written in crayon, right? But guys, if you ask them, it's just not fair. They weren't treated fairly. Meghan was not treated fairly, even though she got about 15 times what everybody else in Europe got. It's just not fair. Eye-opening to see it like that, right? It was for me. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you being here. I truly do. Thank you for everything. Thank you for, well, just all your comments. They brighten up my day. If you want to further support, I do have merch available. Check that out. Make it make sense. Recollections may vary. And I have smug. Look at me on a mug. So definitely check that out. Also, be sure to check out Patreon. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can become an executive producer and get your shout out. Speaking of which, I'm going to shout out my executive producers now. So huge thank you to Linda. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you to Paige. Huge thank you to Teresa. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mr. K. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Aaron and Frank. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ann M. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ann H. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Glynis. Thank you, Karen. Thank you to Dewey. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Adair Becker. Thank you to Erica. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Barb G. Thank you to Diana. Thank you, Allison B. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Lori. Thank you to Pauline. Thank you to KT. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Stromboli. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Loie. Thank you, Lucy H. Thank you to Georgia. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Robin's Landing. Thank you to Helen. Thank you to Mara. Thank you, Ashley C. Thank you to Molly. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Sand Squid. Thank you to Rach. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Domby. Thank you, Android P. Thank you to Sheena. Thank you, Aaron M. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Spectrum Mom. Thank you, Vanessa B. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Michelle. I so appreciate you all. Thank you if you are on the Patreon. Thank you if you're an executive producer. And hey, if you're not, definitely check it out. We have a lot of fun over there. Guys, I hope you have the best day, and I will talk to you again soon. Can't wait to bring you another video like this. Take care. Bye-bye.